Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Johnson. I'm the owner and operator of Firearms Training Facility in beautiful Cape Coral, Florida. If you're new to the channel, we are specializing in you. We are the first time shooter. We work with you guys exclusively to get you to better shooting. If you, excuse me one second, guys. I apologize about that. Business owner eating his lunch is a candy bar right before this, so I haven't had much time to eat today. Not that I need to eat, but it's part of that deal. I get hangry after a while. So, good evening. If you hear some shooting in the background, we are a live range in Cape Coral, Florida, and we do specialize in first time shooters. Tonight, we are going to extend our deal. You know how it goes. Every time we do one of these lives, we always ask you guys to please comment for us. Let us know where you're calling from or where you're watching us from. If you're watching it on YouTube, if you can let us know that. If you're watching it on Facebook, let us know that. If you're watching it on Rumble, let us know that. And then tonight, hey, good evening, Mike. How are you, buddy? And if you're tonight, we are actually on Instagram, and it's actually working right now. So we're kind of excited about that. Hello, Natasha. How are you, sweetheart? Um, we are got a great show for you this week on the live. We're going to extend to the second week of our 30-day challenge, and we are going to be talking about trigger and how to aim. And these are going to be uh, pretty neat little things. Pink Owl. Okay, that's new. I haven't seen that name before. Welcome, welcome, Bardo. Bear, how you doing, bud? We appreciate you. Pink Owls from Los Angeles. How are you? Oh, well, I'm glad. First time on the live, Pink Owl. You will let us know that. We appreciate that. Don't think I recognize the name, so you might be new. And if so, thank you very much. We have some exciting news. We got to 30,000 subscribers just the other day from you guys. So we appreciate you very much. We do the homework all the time in regards to letting you guys remind you to keep responding, keep hitting that subscribe button as much as you can. Keep sharing. I apologize. I'm very burpy. I had a Coke here just a second ago. I apologize about that. First time, welcome, Pink Cow. We're glad you're here. Oh, are you doing any shooting in where you're from, Pink Cow? Are you shooting for a while, or obviously, or why you're watching the channel? We'd like to know a little bit about you if you don't mind sharing a little bit with us. We appreciate that very much. We try to do this stuff as a community. We try to put together some great drills and everything. Matter of fact, Pink Al, have you been to our YouTube channel? That's one of the things tonight we're going to be talking about that and a little bit about why that's there for you guys. We started this YouTube stuff a while back for entertainment, education, and empowerment, and I hope we are issuing or giving you that stuff. Um, it's been one of those deals. Gerald Williams from Texas. Welcome, Gerald. I'm glad you're here. That seems like a new name. I don't recognize that one either. Not that I recognize every name, but I do. Gerald, are you new? And what part of Texas are you from, my friend? Don't say the one with cows in it, because most Texas has cows. I would assume. I don't know. I've been to Texas once, Houston airport, in and out. Didn't get to go anywhere or do anything. Although my wife's been to Dallas. She went as high school to one of the football games or something like that and got to play in the band. So it's pretty cool. Gerald, North Dallas. North Dallas. Oh, cool. Very cool. Very cool. That's the neat thing about YouTube and about these lives. We can actually talk to a lot of people. You guys probably sometime tonight, if you keep watching, we'll get some. One of our subscriber is a boat captain, and he travels all over the world. So we've had him in Antarctica. He's actually watched the thing from Antarctica. He's actually watched it from Brazil. That's where he's from normally. And we've been very fortunate. We had this guy from South Africa a while back, which was pretty cool as well. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So if you don't know much, we're going to start new. We started a 30-day accuracy challenge, which is on a YouTube link on our video. And I physically put a PowerPoint presentation last week and the week before of introducing this 30-day challenge, taking people from new shooters all the way to the point of becoming very proficient with a pistol. And each week, it's a little bit of what we need to do. Last week, it was all about grip and stance. And this week, it's all about trigger control. And then it says aiming, but we're going to talk about sight picture and sight alignment, which are two things that we need to work on very, very much to keep the gun working in our favor and becoming more accurate. Most people make a mistake with a firearm by pulling the trigger or rushing the shot or don't have a proper grip or don't have a proper stance. It's not one thing, it's everything that adds up to it, and that becomes one of those deals. So we do have two cameras tonight. Let me show you that. One there, one there. Hello, hello. So I could kind of show you some of the targets that we're going to be doing this evening, to show you where I want you to practice your aiming at, because this is one of the things people have a misconception. Or where do I aim a pistol? And I'm going to help you with that this evening. Let's go back to me. There we go. All right, Craig Beaverson just joined this week. Oh, beautiful, Greg. Glad you're here, pal. Where are you from, buddy? Beaverston. Greg Beaverston. That's great. Get some new people. That's awesome. That's exciting. Would love to have you guys always. And your job now is to, one of the most important things, especially in the industry I'm in. There's been some issues with people getting de, de I want you to subscribe. So when you get unsubscribed, no fault of yours. In other words, you need to make sure before you leave every week that you are hitting that subscribe button, because somehow or another, I'm sure it's not a furious or any of that problem. Okay, cool. Pink Al. Pink Al says, I found you on YouTube. Great instructions. From over started over from years ago. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. That's what I want. That's what I do this for. People just like you, Pink Al, that need my support, my help. I do it every day for a living. Somebody told me a while back, hey man, you need to make sure you do some videos, and that's what we started to do. And I thought, who's gonna want to watch me? But I'm, 30,000 subscribers, and we keep climbing. We get about 150 to 200 a day, so we're touching somebody somewhere. And it makes sense because people need support on, and the way the economy is, and the way the industry is, and the way everything's going on today. Um, One of our biggest deals here is, living in Florida, which we call it the gunshine state. We are very gun friendly. So people, once they get out of these communist states, that's a terrible word to say, but once we get out of the places that are not very gun friendly and you move to a gun friendly state, you want to get your concealed, you want to get your firearms, you want to do firearms training and all the stuff that's easy to get and everything else, and that's what we do. Hey Chris, how you doing, buddy? Thank you. Jose Fernandez, all the way from Puerto Rico. I learned a lot from you, sir. Thank you. Blessings. Thank you, Jose. Appreciate it very much. You are awesome, my friend, all the way from Puerto Rico. Jay Myers, thank you, buddy. We are gun friendly in Arizona. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're very gun friendly in Arizona. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Keep the comments coming, guys. Keep the comments coming. So we are going to start the PowerPoint presentation. I don't want you to stop the comments. I may not comment on the comments while I'm doing the presentation, but I promise you, after the fact, Indiana. Cool, cool. My wife's from a little town from Craig, from a little town in that Indiana, Ohio area there. called Montpelier, and she's from there, and it's a little small town. And I know we went up there before and was able to get to a Indiana something golf course or whatever it was, so it wasn't too far away. But that little town there is so close that they have two clocks in every establishment because I believe that Indiana doesn't change times. They don't do um, spring back, spring forward, or whatever you do. And then and in Ohio does. So there's two clocks everywhere in that place. So we're going to start the presentation. Let me go ahead and put me and the presentation up. Let's see how this is going to look for us today. I think what I'll do is we will switch it out to presentation only. I believe it's going to, well, let's do this one. Is that going to work for us better, I think? And I will close this one down. Nope, I want to close it down and remove it from the thing. So it's just got me down at the bottom. There we go. That looks better. That should be okay for us, guys, right? And then as I want to show you something or another, I'll flip up the other camera. All right, it's 30-day accuracy challenge, week 2, trigger and aiming. This is what we're going to talk about this evening. Over the next 30 days, from week 1 to week ever, okay, beautiful. Over the next month, we're going to be talking about different challenges. Each week is going to be a little different. This is something not new to each person who's seen this, but if you're new to this kind of brief explanation of what we're going to do in the next 30 days, we're offering you the opportunity to follow along with us and improve your accuracy. So last week we talked about grip and stance, and there's a full live that we did last week that you could actually download and watch. If you are a type of person that wants to hear it and not see it, we do have a podcast of that available as well through YouTube. And you can actually download the videos as well if you'd like to, whichever way you want to do it, whichever way you want to consume it. We've got availabilities for you in each way of podcast, video, little shorts, everything else like that. Now, what I've done, guys, on my YouTube channel, I've put together a full playlist of the 30-day challenge. And each week, I'm going to pull a video or two or a drill or some kind, because next week is all about the drills of the 30-day challenge. And we're going to be doing some actual shooting of those drills and showing you what you need to do to work on your fundamentals. And besides just pulling the trigger, we're going to use some drills to work with. All right. So what do you need in these challenges? Obviously, the very first thing is the willingness to learn. Handgun of any kind, ammunition, targets, safety gear, eyewear, and a journal or an app. We talked about this weeks before, but if you get something, you have a journal with you, you don't know it, but your phone, you can just take a little bit of where I am versus where I'm going to be and where I want to be and kind of work on it. Because each time someone touches a firearm, they're picking up a habit. And we want to make sure every time we pick up the weapon, that's the good habit, not the bad habit, if that makes sense. Thirsty today. I don't know what. All right. So this week is all about trigger control and aiming. Now, this is where the rubber hits the road, is what most people say, because you can get proper grip and you can have proper stance and you can still have real crappy trigger control and never hit the side of the barn. And this is why, because we manipulate the pistol a lot of times with trigger control. You want to comment below. We appreciate it very much. We want to let me know what you think the proper trigger finger placement is. Now I'm going to talk about where I want you to have your finger on the trigger. If you look at your trigger finger, you don't need to be magical to figure out the more finger you put in the gun, the more the weapon's going to go to that angle. And I'm going to show you this in a few seconds here. But proper grip, like last week we talked about, is getting the power to come from holding onto the pistol with your dominant hand, but controlling the pistol with your non-dominant hand. And this is, you hear a lot of people give 60-40 or pressure. You're pressing the gun in between the two hands. We don't want to put too much torque on the pistol, but we want to really control it. But where the real enemy of a trigger engagement, it all comes from the tip of the finger, from the fingernail to the crease. Somewhere in between your fingernail, the end of your finger, and the first crease of your finger, trigger finger that is, there's where you need to have that weapon. And each person's a little different according to how long their finger is and what they have. Some people can use the tip of the finger, just barely sticking it in and just pressing it slowly back, and it's going to be exactly where it needs to be. Some people can take it and stick it all the way into the gun, all the way to the triggers, the first crease of the finger, and still be able to shoot it okay if they're controlling the weapon. But most people get carried away and anticipate the shot, and in turn cause the weapon to cut off to the left. How many of you that are right-handed students shoot low and left all the time? Low and left is really caused with two things. One is pulling the trigger versus pressing the trigger. And number two is anticipating the recoil, which is causing you to anticipate and jerk the weapon down. There we go. Craig, yes. Craig says, yes, I do it all the time. Very common for everyone to do this. It's a very common thing. So we want to talk about a proper trigger engagement. And the easiest way I can tell you to do this, I've said this multiple times, but for most people who are on this, they're trying to learn the best method possible for you. And we always talk about trigger travel. There is a trigger moves in a position to get to another position, to get to the sear cutting, to get to the weapon, letting the firing pin go forward. Now, each one of those movements of the trigger lets that weapon or manipulates that weapon in some way or another. So if you kind of think about it as much as you can, I apologize. 1 second. I had a pay I had a payday bar here, and I got those peanut pieces all on my teeth, and it's just every time I say something, it's spitting all over them. Make a note: no payday bars before alive. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I was sitting on my counter. I guess my wife bought it for me yesterday, or something like that. So we want to make sure the easiest way I can give you is a slow, continuous press until the weapon cuts. It cuts means fire. And this is the easiest way I can do it. So there's a couple ways we can do this. Number one, I want to think about a scale. And I want you to take your hands out in front of you like this, all right? There we go, the scale. And then we're going to take and put 5 pounds on the one side. So this side has 5 pounds on it, so this side would be up in the air. Now, if I took that 5-pound bag on the other side of the scale and I were to drop it directly onto the scale at any distance, it's going to delodge the other 5 pounds because the inertia of that bag of sand, rice, whatever you want to call it, landing on the scale is going to have a higher inertia than the actual other 5 pounds. So 5 pounds being dropped from 5 feet or 3 feet or 2 feet is going to have more inertia than the one that's just sitting there in natural stance. So if you think about that and you see that in your head, that would be a pull. Now let's do that same thing, but this time we're going to cut the bag open and begin to pour the sand or the rice or whatever onto the scale. It's going to be more of a gradual load of the scale. And at that point in time, it's going to rise very naturally. That's the press we're looking for, guys. Pressing the trigger makes all the difference in the world, and it keeps you from anticipating more than you need to. If I told you in the realm of shooters, you need to shoot the pistol or control the pistol, but not over torque the pistol. Every shot that we shoot with a weapon, we need to be surprised at the shot as much as possible when you first start shooting. If you put 5 rounds in the pistol and you knew all 5 rounds were going to cut, then you're pulling the trigger versus pressing the trigger. And this is probably the best education you could get in a short period of time. It's called the cadence drill. And the cadence drill is going to give you, let's say you get a weapon and you got a magazine and you've got, let's just start with 5 rounds, which I always recommend 5 rounds. Good question. I'll get right to that, Z. Really, I'll get right to. We're going to cover how to control the weapon. It's not about our shoulders as much as it is about our. Are you a man or a woman? Z reality. Yeah. Let me know that first, if you don't mind. And there are reason why there are 2 ways. Men hold the weapon one way, woman holds the weapon another way for better control and optimal press. The cadence drill is a real good drill because what it will do, you could do this with one-shot drills. I don't know if you ever heard of a one-shot drill, but basically what it is one shot. And we want to really concentrate on playing out, putting the weapon out in front of us, and cutting the trigger that it cuts a perfect shot where we think it's going to be. Most of us who are aiming a pistol tend to shoot below where we're aiming. Or we're aiming up at, let's say, for instance, in front of us and it hits a little bit below, which is very common for people. We need to make sure that we're not dipping our heads or doing anything crazy to the weapon itself. But the more we were able to get those one-shot drills going. But here's the cadence. The cadence is a 1, 2, 3. And 1 is putting your finger on the trigger. Number 2 is applying pressure. And number 3 is a weapon cutting. And this can be easily done. I do this here at the range all the time with students. I'll tell them, let me know when you're ready. All right. Put the magazine in, rack the slide. All right, let me know. Ready. Okay, here we go. Ready? 1, finger should be on the trigger. 2, you should be applying pressure to the trigger until the weapon cuts. And number 3 is the weapon cutting. And the more we get into some kind of sequence between me telling the students and the students starting to figure out how much trigger travel each gun has, okay, that's going to help tremendously get you understanding the whole how far that trigger needs to come. Because keep in mind, some triggers, like the Glocks, for instance, are a heavy trigger and there's no real solid wall to it. It just needs to come back, come back, come back. And as it comes back, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier. That's the unique thing about the Glock. That's why it's issued all over the United States, all over the world, because the trigger's the safest trigger. It's got a safe trigger on it. It's got drop safeties and sear safeties, but there's no mechanical safety on it, but there is a trigger safety. And it's an easier trigger to teach people to shoot. but it is a real stiff trigger. So stiff triggers cause trigger manipulation because you're trying to get that trigger back without moving the gun in any way, and there becomes somewhat of our challenge of the Glock's trigger. So work on just getting back. This is where dry firing comes in an awful lot. Is just taking that trigger back, taking that trigger back, taking that trigger back until the weapon cuts. Once it's done that, rack the slide, put it out in front of you again, and slowly press the trigger again. We want to press that trigger to the point where the weapon doesn't bobble or move or flinch during the shots. All right, let's go. So this is the first one I would recommend the video. And we talked about the watching the grip and stance video again if you haven't seen this. Yes, yes, Gerald, the Sky has a lot, but then actually the new Skies are a lot better with the old Skies had the double action trigger, but the new Skies are a lot better. So we'll talk about that here in a second. Um, so one of the things about grip and stance is those things are imperative to keep the weapon level. And we talk about levelness, and I always saw, hey, Papa Weasel, how you doing? We always talk about the ability to keep a level pistol shoots level. And one of the most things to keep a weapon level is by keeping your stance good and your grip good. And that's going to tremendously make it easier for you to keep a weapon level because a level pistol shoots level. So week 2, the best video I could give you right off the bat is trigger control. This is our video. This is on our playlist, and this talks about trigger finger and its placement, where you need to place it. Now I'm going to switch to the other camera real quick. Let's see if I can add you to stage, and I'm going to have to take down this one for a second and make us hang on a second. Let's see if I can figure this out. The best way to do this is to go here. There we go. All right. Yeah, okay. So one of the things we talk about trigger control, and I kind of talked to you earlier in regards to this. Now, this is a rubber gun. There's no bullets in it or anything else like that. But we want to make sure that when we're picking up a pistol, that we always keep our finger off the trigger as much as possible. And then secondary thing we want to do is we want to use the tip of our finger so we get this gap. See that gap right there? That gap is so important because the more you put your finger on this gun, that's where it's going to roll out. So when you're shooting the pistol with the trigger gap like that, that's going to let you use the tip of your finger. You don't want your whole finger in this gun. You don't want to bring it out here the crease because all that stuff causes more manipulation. If you take this weapon and you pull, look how it's moving by just the weapon itself or pulling the trigger, and that's what causes those lefty shots there. So we want to make sure that we use the tip of our finger, get our proper grip, and then slowly press the trigger back. Now, Z-Realty asked, well, how am I supposed to control the weapon? He talked about what kind of shoulder lockout or to get an optimal press. And I will tell you, it's not your shoulders that control the weapon. It's your pecs that control the weapon. With a guy, we actually take this out here and we drive it towards the target and engage our pec muscles, which in turn will cause the whole hand to lock around the gun. And that is the key thing to keep it level. We want to make sure that we're filling that void that we talked about last week and lock that wrist out. And the more we lock that wrist out and put it out here, the easier it becomes to control the weapon and keep it from moving and pulling down. Because if you don't lock your wrist out of any way at all, you're going to allow that wrist to move up and down. But if you lock your wrist out already, when you put the two together, it kind of it kind of locks out everything and he stops it from moving up and down. Very important that we get that good trigger travel and trigger placement of the finger. It is the tip of the finger between the tip and the crease. You don't want to. You want to be where you need to be. We try to teach all the students to use the tip because what it will do is allow us to press that trigger straight back into the hand versus putting your whole finger in and causing it to roll off to one side or the other. Uh, let's go back to the big video here. Let's go here. Let's go. All right, there we go. Yeah, oh, shit, what happened? There we go. All right, so let's go to the next one. Now, this video that we put together, it's all about the trigger press, and we kind of walked you through this. And I think this is why I do these videos like these now, because I have such a backlog of videos. And why we put together our ebooks the way we do is we put the ebook together, and you that are new on this phone call, I mean, you're new on this. I'm so used to Zoom. Last year doing Zoom all the time, but if you're so the ability to understand the trigger press versus the trigger pull, it will increase your accuracy by far. You'll be so surprised how quickly somebody who is very novice of shooting can shoot a pistol. I'll tell you what, as a most people come here are taking our classes don't own a pistol. They're coming for the very first time to learn to shoot. And we're putting the equalizer or the Glock 42 or the Glock 43X, and we're putting these in people's hands, and they're able to do some really great accuracy with new students. What tends to happen once they leave us is when they pick up all the bad habits, the stuff they don't remember versus the stuff they do remember. So it's kind of one of the things we have to kind of make sure that they get their understanding of how it works. So we did put that ebook out, which will be in the link below. It was why I shoot low and left. You guys, as people who follow us all the time, if you put live 2024 at checkout, you're going to get it for only $4.99, and that's in one of our. Once you go in the descriptions, you'll see it. But I put together a free book for you guys as well. These are 10 tips from a firearms instructor for new students, and that's a free book you can download directly from our website, and it gives you 10 great tips. But not only do you get the 10 great tips, but there's a playlist of those 10 tips that you can watch along and take it to the range and figure everything out as well, which is a great way to do things now. A lot of people can reach something and get it right away. A lot of people have to do it on by their hands, and then you have instructions like we're giving you guys that you can carry with you by just putting your earphones in and listening to me what I say, and you can physically get yourself better and better. But the trigger press is so important. It's probably right up there with grip and stance. Trigger press keeps the gun level and keeps it where it needs to be. Never forget, we have a horizontal and vertical plane that we need to stay on at all times with a firearm. Can you guess where the horizontal plane is? Yes, it's across your eyes. That's exactly where it is. And the vertical plane is over your dominant eye. You have a dominant eye on your face. You need to make sure the weapon and your eye are lined up together. And the more you do that, the more accurate you'll be with a firearm. Real quick, you guys want to guesstimate what do you think your accuracy rate is right now with a firearm? Do you think you're over 60% or do you think you're below 60%? A lot of people can assume that they think they're over 50%, and majority of people average about 44. The firearms instructor who says he's 100%, he's lying. I can tell you this. Watch any of my videos. I do not edit any of my videos. When I miss, I miss. And when I shoot good, I shoot good. But the concept is we need to put it together and become more and more proficient and trust what we have here. Here's two great pictures of a trigger engagement. Where the top one, where's that finger? Way at the crease. What do you think he's going to do with that weapon? He's going to shoot left if he's left. Well, that's a right-handed student. It's a left-handed student. So at that point in time, he would shoot right because you're pulling that weapon way over the right. And then the second one below it is the tip of the finger, and that's pressing more in the back of the hands. This is a visual aid. You can see I do not want to crease. And what challenge most people do is they're using their trigger finger to control the weapon. You know that your trigger finger and your thumbs are along for the ride. There should be no pressure applied to the weapon from your thumbs or from the actual trigger itself. So when you're manipulating the trigger by pulling the trigger, you're using your trigger finger as a wedge, and it causes anticipation, a lot of different stuff like that. All right. So the next video we talked about is trigger travel, and that's that actual how much pressure it takes to get that trigger back to a certain point and all the places apart it. And what I do in this video is I take 5 different pistols and explain to you each one of them and why they have different triggers and what you need to do to understand each trigger travel. And trigger travel, once you get the concept of that, and once you get the concept of proper grip and proper stance, accuracy will come. I promise you that. Accuracy will come because it just makes it easier and easier for you to become more proficient with a pistol when you understand what's causing all the manipulation. On our YouTube channel, we have the thing called the Shot Doctor. Johnny many months ago had put my face on top of a doctor's head, and and I had a stethoscope, and we got the first target. I was cleaning up in the back, and I told Johnny, I go, look at this. There was a big group to the left. There was a big group high to the left. There was a small group down low and left. There was a couple over on the right-hand side. And I explained to Johnny with the right-handed stuff, if you're a right-handed shooter, you're shooting right-handed, and all your shots are high and right or low and right, you're over torquing with your right hand, being a right-handed student or right-eye dominant. But the same case is if you have all your targets, all your bullets hitting high and left, what you're doing there is you're concentrating on your front post only and not putting it through the back post. Remember, your front sight on a pistol is not a sight without your back sight. And vice versa, right? Your back sight's not a sight without your front sight. So getting to understand all this stuff in these videos that we're giving you in this playlist are going to help you understand the mistakes or the challenges that you're doing and how to curve or correct them to best become more proficient with a pistol. So this trigger travel is not a long video, but it is a very explainable, each little deal, what's going on, what's causing it, because many people do not understand why am I shooting low on left. That's the video. That's the name of the video. Why am I shooting low and left all the time? And there's a video on our YouTube channel about that, and there's an ebook on there, and it definitely explains. Don't forget to enter Live 2024 at checkout, and you'll get it for just $4.99, and it will solve your lower left situations. And that link will be in our descriptions below. All right. Right, there we go. There's a real close up of the tip of the finger. You see how this guy does. He's not using the tip of his finger, but he's not using his crease either. He's right in the center, and he's just going to slowly engage this trigger. I want you to really concentrate on where am I, what am I, and how am I engaging this trigger. And if you're conscious of that, everything else will solve itself. Because if you say, "What, John, what's the one thing that I could do today to improve my accuracy with a pistol?" I would tell you, work on your trigger. Work on the trigger press as much as possible. Work on slow engagement. Work on slow, methodical movement of the trigger finger without manipulating the rest of the pistol or pulling the trigger. All right. Week 2, now we're going to talk about aiming. Now, this is probably our biggest video we've ever done, is how to aim a pistol. Now, I'm going to flip back over the camera because the video's good, but I've got an opportunity to show you guys real important stuff here. So let's go ahead and pull me back up. Do you see me? Yes, you do. All right. So let's say this is the target, and this is a paper plate. This is what I recommend most of you guys play around with all the time, is a paper plate. And the paper plate is 8-inch paper plate. Most of you that want to aim a pistol are going to take your pistol and put it directly in the center of that paper plate. Now, comment below, where do you think you'll impact this target? Will you impact up higher in these two? Or will you impact down here at these two? Or do you think you're going to hit directly that bullseye right there? I can tell you this. If you're aiming in the center, you're putting your barrel in the center of the dot there, well, guess what? You're going to shoot up in these two categories here if you did not pull the trigger. But the moment you aim here and pull, that's where it's going to happen. That's what causes most of the lower left, is the anticipation of pulling down on that edge there. So let's talk about the 6 o'clock hole, because I think this is one of the things most people don't understand, the flight of a bullet. If you kind of think about anything in life, we are tested against gravity, and the bullets are too. And if you think about, if I took my barrel and I stuck it directly in the center of the target, my sights are higher. So most likely, if I let that bullet fly, it would not fall below the line of sight. It would curve above the line of sight. Because technically, if you think about it, the manufacturers know the gravity's pulling on this weapon, a bullet, as it comes out. So the barrel is tilted in an angle like that. Because if you think about a bullet coming out of a gun, it's coming out at an arc of an angle, right? It's going to come out as an arc, because that bullet does not fly in a straight line. It has to arc a little bit, and the longer, the heavier the bullet, the more arc you're going to have. So we tell all of our students all the time, I want you to be able to see what you're aiming at. If you see what you're aiming at, you're going to be able to put this right here. Now look, where's your sights? Your sights are just below where you're supposed to aim at. And if you allow, don't dip your head when you're shooting, keep your head up, Keep your eyes, get the weapon over your line of sight. Use your waist to aim the weapon, not your wrist, and you'll be impacting in that box or a little bit below that box. And this is common for most manufacturers, and it has very little to do with which pistol you're using. It has more to do with what you're doing to the pistol to make it move. Keep in mind, the manufacturers know that the weapon travels, the bullets travel in a certain arc, and they've set all these weapons up at somewhere between 12 and 15 feet. And if you press the trigger very slowly and don't manipulate it, you'll be in your box. What this system is, we call this the 6 o'clock hold, and there's videos on these on my YouTube channel, and it explains it very much so. Oh, sorry about that. I've touched the button. 6 o'clock hold. And what we're trying to do, be consistent. The more consistent we are with the aim, the better we're going to become. And this is common for all new students. All students have shot before, haven't shot. It's a great way to start you out, and it gives you that ability to aim. All right, let's go back to this. Go back to this. There we go. There I am. And I'll take me off here. And there we go. All right. And we're going to go here. There we go. So this is a great video to get you really concept of what it is. And I've actually using the green 3-dot system to show you that. One of the most important things to understand when you're using a Glock box and dot or 3-dot system, the front post has to be level with the back post. There's no other way of doing it besides that. If you have the front post lower than the back post, you're going to shoot low. If you pull the trigger instead of press the trigger, you're going to shoot low. If you pull and anticipate at the same time, you're going to shoot low and left. If you over grip with your right hand, you're going to shoot right. I mean, the targets tell you everything, guys. You just got to get the understanding of the concept. That's why these videos are there for you. That's why this playlist is there for you. It'll help you tremendously understand. The more we understand what we're doing wrong, the quicker we can solve the problem. All right, here's another way as a muzzle flip. This is a good video to understand because the weapon is coming off the horizontal line. A lot of people shoot a pistol. How most people understand how to shoot a pistol is what they see on TV. That's that whole flipping of the wrist or leaving the gun up or doing some kind of reset. That's odd because they're allowing the gun to move. This is where we talked about earlier when the guys asked, how do I control the weapon to control the muzzle flip? Use your pec muscles. Women, use your back muscles. If you're a lady and watching this right now or a man watching this, it doesn't really matter. I don't want you to do, men, I don't want you to do too much of this press and pull thing. But for women, pressing and pulling is a big deal. If you take your dominant hand, stick it out in front of you, push out with your dominant hand and pull back with your non-dominant hand, you'll feel some back muscles kicking in. Those back muscles kick in, and immediately you'll control that weapon a lot faster, a lot better. Now, as far as for men, we're going to use our pec muscles. We're going to push out with our pecs, tighten up our arms. The easiest way to get the feel of this is take both your hands out, put them out dead out in front of you, push your hands together, palms in, push the hands together, thumbs up, and just push your two hands together. You'll feel your pecs start to kick in, and use those pec muscles to control the weapon. You will keep a level gun throughout the whole process. The more you begin to loosen up your pec muscles, the more you're going to get muzzle flip, and the more you're going to get those high and low and right and left shots because you are trying to control. That's why I always recommend, let's stick to 5 rounds in these classes. Let's stick to 5 rounds at the range, because with 5 rounds, I can control the weapon through 5 rounds. If I've got a Glock 19 with 15 rounds in it, I'm not going to be able to hold that pistol for 15 rounds and be accurate with it. And every time we're inaccurate with a pistol, you pick up those habits quicker than you do with the accurate shots, or the quicker shots, the better shots. So 5 shots at a time, what that does for us, it gives us a magazine load. It gives us a magazine drop. It gives us a racking of the slide. It gives us 5 trigger engagements. It gives us 5 sight alignments. Repetition, 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 repetition. All these things add up to making you more accurate. You conquering the weapon and the weapon not conquering you. All right. So this right here is probably the pretty close to the best video I could give you guys in explaining the 6 o'clock hold. I've had plenty of people send me pictures of before and afters of their targets once they get the concept of it. You see the video, you see how it's this. See, what we need, that consistent point of aim. If you look at that Glock that's there in that picture, what's kind of important not only is the front post and the back post level, well, how about the negative space between the front and the back post? Those are just as important, because if you don't have that negative space between the front and the back, that's going to move that gun, because the sight itself allows you to be level front, forward, and backwards, and right and left. Because you can imagine if you had that sight too close to one side or too close to the other, it's going to cause to shoot left or right. We already told you the trigger finger and trigger engagement cause you to shoot low and left, and they can make you shoot right or left, right, because of too much finger in the gun, or pulling the trigger versus pressing the trigger. So this is a great video that would give you the opportunity to see exactly what's causing all of these things and improve your accuracy. Whole idea of going to the range with 50 rounds. How about if I told you today, after these 4 weeks of working through your fundamentals, we can get to about 80% accuracy. That means that a 50 round box, we're talking 50 round box. I'm doing math. It's too late in the day to do math, but you'd be looking at 50 rounds. You're looking at missing, 7 rounds? 7 rounds not going exactly where they need to go. That math's probably not right. But the idea of it is, how about that versus 40% or 30%? And as the day goes, it gets worse and worse and worse. So the reason why we want to be proficient with a pistol is because we need to be. Because we're going to be held to a higher standard than the bad guy. And then I put together this last little one here, which 5 common mistakes to avoid. And this is all about trigger engagement. These are the 5 mistakes I see commonly in the range. And this is bad grip, bad stance. This is improper sight alignment and proper trigger pull. These are all 5 things that you could solve very quickly, very fast, and improve your accuracy immediately. So, these little things like this will make you, each week when you watch one of these, it's going to improve as you go. So I want you to stay tuned for next week's video 3. We're going to be doing some live fire drills. Now, these videos can't be done on a live, but I'm going to do the videos for you, and then it's going to be up there. We're going to be talking about slow, rapid precision, control pairs, rapid fire, and all that stuff like that. Listen, guys, the more you get control of the weapon, you're going to be more accurate as we get deeper and deeper into this. I want you to, this week, I need you to get to the range. I need you to do at least 1 day at the range. I need you to give me at least 25 rounds of dry fire. If you don't know how to dry fire, that's very simple and easy. Very first thing we do with dry firing is we need to make sure that we are in a room that the ammo and the magazine are not in. So in other words, if you need to go in the bathroom, go in the bathroom. But no matter, take your weapon, rack your slide, get your proper stance, proper grip, and really begin to slowly press the trigger. I want you to almost like, oh, this is boring as hell. It's going to help you every time you cut the. Remember, every time you touch that pistol, it goes bang. And your mind is afraid of that gun. So it's causing you to anticipate and causing you to have manipulation. Imagine, and now, when every time you pick the pistol up, that you're doing some dry firing and some live firing and some dry firing and some live firing. It's confusing the brain, so it's not going to be freaky as much when you touch it. Number two, don't be afraid to dry fire at the range. Dry fire at the range, get everything going. Now you're in a safe environment. Keep the magazine out still, make sure it's unloaded. Do some racking and slowly press the trigger. And then from there, you can start adding 1 round, maybe 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds, and then kind of get those control groups going and feel comfortable. I want you to watch first week's video. I want you to watch this week's video, which I'm going to post tomorrow on the live, about the live, and I'm going to post a video for you. And then we're going to work on week 3, which is going to be a couple drills, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 drills that you continuously practice to make you more proficient. And then finally, go ahead and do your test if you worked with the range last week and see if you improved at all with the things we talked about for your grip and stance. And then this week, I want you to work on that trigger press and trigger pull. And then I want you to work on your 6 o'clock hold if you can for me. I know it's a lot. You won't get it all done, but I want you to go to the range with a plan. This is important because if we go to the range and we don't have a plan, we're just there to shoot a pistol. We're just there to pull a trigger. Is that going to help us? Is that going to benefit us? I don't want you not to have fun with the pistol, but I want you to pick it up and make sure that if you want to blast off 2 20-round magazines and have some fun, do that at the end. Do that after you're done. Do that because every time you do that, you're picking up bad habits. You're not going to control it. Your groups are going to get wide. If you could shoot this whole week and hit it in the paper plate the whole time, and you can rapid fire and hit the paper plate the whole time, do it. Good. Congratulations. You're excellent. But if you can't, or you pull them out of the paper plate, well, then you need to figure out something or slow down. Because trust me, the average gunfight is less than 5 feet, and the average gunfight is 2.5 rounds. The average gunfight is 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning. We can solve that 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning by being asleep. We're not out and about, right? So you don't need 15 rounds. I get it. I get it. I used to do it myself. I used to carry the weapon, 2 magazines, flashlight, this. My DC was everything. Now I carry a little Diamondback 380, Diamondback 9mm in my pocket. I practice it on a continuous basis because I figured out if I'm going to get in a gunfight, I'm not going to be getting into any kind of shootout. I'm going to get into some guy trying to rob me or rob my family. Now at the house, there's different stuff, and at the range, there's different stuff. But for me personally, carrying something I can carry every day in my pocket, that's the key thing for me right now. So, all right. So let's go out of here, exit full screen, and me back into the system. Here we go. Hit over here. And we're going to remove this one. And we're going to go over here. Oh, I wish I knew what I was doing. And Hey, Jake. Jacob. Well, it's not letting me show my face. All right, well, I'll go the other camera. I don't care. Part of that deal, I suppose. All right, so that being said, we're almost at the end here. Want to talk about some stuff here. Say hello to everybody. We had a great night of comments tonight. This is awesome. I really appreciate it. Something's going on with this thing. We're having a little bit of buffer. Y'all guys can still hear me, correct? All right. Like to say evening to Michael. Thank you very much for being here this evening. Tasha, hello. Peek out. I hope you had a good time for your first time here. Gerald Williams, thank you very much from Dallas. Craig Beaverson joined this week. Beautiful. We're glad you're here. Pink Cow, I found your YouTube channel. Great instructions. Started over from years ago. Yeah, I'm glad you did that. That's awesome. There's plenty of stuff there you can follow on the YouTube channel. Appreciate it. We have Chris. Thank you very much, Chris. As always, Chris is one of our members. He's always been loyal to us to begin with. That's pretty good and neat there. Jose, thank you from Puerto Rico. Thank you very much, buddy. Um, uh, TJ Meyer, thank you very much, bud. Craig Beaverson, thank you. Spring forward, fall back. Yeah, this is years ago when I was there. Maybe they do that now. A lot of lot. They, they weren't Amish. They were Mennonites. I was just so impressed with all the big horses and all that stuff. It's pretty good. Hi from Adventure, Florida. Where's that at? Is that the other coast? Adventure, Florida. Craig Beaverson, yes. Yeah. Zero to yes. Same for me. Uh, you need to kind of lock out your shoulders to get optimal press. Now, I kind of explained that to you in the video, but no, you don't. Just use your chest muscles as much as possible. You can do what you want to do, but you'll find you'll have more control when you use your chest muscles versus your hands. Because guess what, guys? There's no muscles in your hands. It's just ligaments and tendons, and they can only give you so much pressure. So a lot of people want to push all into the gun. But yeah, that's great and wonderful for one or two or three shots. But what if you got to do it for a long period of time or an hour worth of shooting? You're going to fatigue the hell out of yourself. That's why you want to use those chest muscles as much as possible. So I guess I asked a question here, and let's see what he has to say. All right. So, man, I'm 27 years old. I got a long visa. I'm in Florida since a year. I go to the range often, but never got proper training. Let's say the proper way. All right, yeah, cool, man. This is a good opportunity for you because it gives you a lot of the videos. There are probably 10 videos of Watch Me Works where I take a student back there. We have the camera over my shoulder, and I'm physically giving advice to those people. And you're watching the whole training class, which is a cool way to do this. And then, thank you. And Gerald talked about the Sky. Skies actually have a different product now. That's that DVG from DVG one, totally different gun. I don't carry the Skies, the original Skies, but I do carry the DVGs. I think they're a better trigger and they shoot better. It's a striker fire gun, which is a double action gun. You know, Skies meet a certain point. They're a Florida-based company. They have a great warranty. They're a good product. It's just Uh, it's a price point thing. I mean, they and I'm never into the not against the colored guns. I just think colored guns are one of those deals where most of the manufacturers that make colored guns are making colored guns to grab a woman's attention, not because it's the best gun on the market, but they were way above the game when everyone else was having 7 round and 8 round magazines. These guys had 10 rounds way back in the day, and they have every color in the rainbow on those guys. So I mean, there are some advantages to that weapon. Would it be the first weapon I'd tell you to go buy? Probably not, because there's so much stuff in that price range. But they are in the market by themselves. I believe those things are in the low 250s to 270 range, which right now has probably got the best prices besides the Taurus line in shooting. But Taurus, I put the Taurus above the Skies in my own personal opinion. Nothing's wrong with Skies. I just think the Taurus, his trigger's a lot easier to use. Papa Weasel, as always, thank you very much. Danny Schultz, thank you, thank you. Joe Williams, depending on which pistol you use, you know what? That's your opinion, but I'm going to tell you, it's not the pistol, it's the person. The majority of the time, you watch people shoot, they're dipping their head to shoot. They're dipping their head and they're changing their line of sight. Sights are above the barrel. There's no other way of doing that. Sights are above the barrel, and the bullet does not fly below the barrel. It flies above the barrel, and it's going to impact differently. So that's part of that deal. It's math. I mean, it's science. Gerald Williams, thank you very much, buddy. You're the best. Thank you. Okay, thanks. I love my SIG. You should. SIGs are good. I'm not a SIG guy. I can tell you this right now. But it drives me crazy. You take a Glock, it clicks. You take a Smith, it clicks. You take a SIG and dry fire it, it clunks. It's plastic on plastic, which is kind of a weird thing it does. So, any other questions? Any other comments? Anything you'd like us to do? Anything you want to say? We're about an hour, I think. Yeah, we're an hour and 7. I did good today. I didn't go out crazy. Last week I was about an hour and 20. It was got a little carried away. But I could tell you this. Well, this is fun to me. I enjoy it very much. Oh, let's talk about next week. So next week, Mama Johnson and I are going down to the Keys. And I don't believe I'm going to have an opportunity to be able to get a good Wi-Fi down there to do a live. So we're going to miss next week. But I'm going to try to pop one in if I can. I'm going to try to pre-record one, but I'm not sure how that's going to go. But I'm sure you guys understand. Sometimes you need a little break. But this is the first time I'll miss a live from the range since last November, last December, something like that. So pretty cool that but we're going down there. We're going down for a couple of days just to relax a little bit. Store's gonna be still open. Jacob's still gonna be here. We're gonna be rocking and rolling. I could have Jacob do the live, but him staring at you staring at him is probably not gonna work. Not gonna work very well. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go. But if you're okay with that, I appreciate that very much. Thank you for your loyalty and your support. Speaking of support, we want to talk real quick in regards to our memberships. We do have our memberships here. If we get to 10 or 12 members, we're going to do you members will see the videos before anybody else sees the videos. We'll have our own private live chats. We'll do a lot of different stuff. Now, what's that membership cost? It's $2.99 a month, and it's going to give you the ability always to have support with me. Now, you don't need to pay for it to get support with me. I'm here for you. Yeah, Miss Johnson's listening. She's looking forward to the trip. She doesn't know I'm not taking her now. She's got to stay home. I'm going to go by myself. I'm just kidding, baby. I wouldn't go anywhere without you because you got all the money. No, but you know, you don't have to pay to be a member. But what memberships does for us, it gives us a little bit of weight into YouTube. YouTube sees that people are doing the memberships, and then they start broadcasting our products other places. Speaking of broadcasting our products in other pieces, if you look down and you see you're unsubscribed, please subscribe, hit the bell icon and the like, and every time we do something just like this, you'll be the first to know. I apologize for not having the other camera up. I don't. Maybe the battery went dead or something. I have no idea. But we're getting in that point where we have 5 new people tonight, and that's all I want. I would just want to get more and more people new. If you have an opportunity to come to Florida, you can always come here. You mentioned that you saw one of our YouTube channels. Are you one of our members? Are you anything else like that? And we will support you in any way we possible. We've had a couple of different members come from all over and come down here, and we slip them into a free training class just because of them traveling. One of our members, Jim, he was went to Disney World. Now I'm going to tell you this: on a good day, you could get here in about 3.5 hours. On a bad day, which was it was during the fall when Jim came with his wife, because they were getting out of the cold up front and they were coming over here. It was every bit of 4 hours. They came 4 hours to see me. They were in Disney World. They ended up, I did a class for him and his wife. They wanted to pay me. I wouldn't take it because they put all that travel. And I didn't do a full class with them. I did, 25, 30 minutes with them. Went in the back. I videotaped the whole thing for them. Kind of fun stuff to do. And they said hello, came by, looked at the studios. We call it a studio because we have a wall back here with a flag on it. And this is our office here. And we have the studio in the back that's in the range that you see most of the videos from. But at the end of it, it was kind of cool. We've done that 4 or 5 times with members, and we would love to do it with you too. Just let us know. We'll get it set up for you. All right. Well, it's that time of the night. God bless. Be safe. And remember, you are your first line of defense. I love you, folks. We'll see you next week. Maybe. I might be on vacation. If not, we'll do something else. All right. Bye bye.